If you want to succeed and make it in a high-pressure work environment, one key you have to learn is to not listen to your emotions, not let your personal feelings get in the way of the task at hand. I walked into work the other day and my boss was pinging me on Skype pretty furiously, and he was in a very bad mood, sounded very agitated, and so he was kind of using some harsh language, not being polite, the most polite. It wasn't cursing or anything, but he was kind of demanding answers kind of quickly and was in a very frantic mood. And so what had happened was apparently someone on the client side, we're consultants, we work for a consulting company, was complaining about something that we had possibly missed in some work we had delivered earlier. So that's what he was upset about. And we work for a small startup consulting company. So real quick, when you're a small company and the industry we're in is very, kind of cutthroat, competitive, there's a lot of money involved. So there's like big upside to succeeding and all that, but there's also competition, competing against the big established consulting companies that have all the glitzy advertising and they're established names. So most clients in this industry are gonna by default kind of go with them for business. So when you're a small company like we are, trying to bid for contracts, there's a lot more scrutiny and a lot more from the client's perspective. They want to know that you can prove yourself, and they need to see proof that you can deliver and you know what you're talking about, right? Because again, lack of name recognition, no name company, right? There's a lot more to prove. So that's why my boss was very frantic, and also for a small company, even losing one contract like the project we're on right now, if the client decides to not extend the contract, it can be devastating financially for a small company, whereas for a bigger company, they can kind of weather it. They got a big workforce, they've got lawyers and all that. So anyway, back to the situation at hand that was unfolding the other day. I was initially, I'm a human being. I was initially a little bit agitated. That's the emotions and the personal feelings coming up, right? And what I've been able to learn to do over the years, I've been working in this type of job, this type of industry for several years now. So one thing you'll learn is those negative feelings, right? You're gonna feel them, but what you got to do is always remember to focus on the task at hand and focus on the goal. And so that's what I did. I told my boss, listen, you got to slow down. I know you're agitated, but clearly, if you take a deep breath, tell me step by step what the person on the client side told you, and I will get right on it and find a solution to this problem. And I was using a little bit of sarcastic humor as well, and that helped. So my boss had a little laugh, he had a breather, and I was able to calm him down, diffuse the situation a little bit. So yeah, my boss was able to describe the problem in a much more calm, logical manner, and so I could finally understand what he was getting at, and I was like, okay, I'll find the solution. And then, that's what happened. We got a solution by the end of the day, delivered it, and then everybody went home happy and relieved that we were able to put out a fire, potential disaster, right? And you can really, that's obviously just an anecdote from my own personal life, but you can analyze these sort of high pressure environments in, say, sports, right? Do you think anybody who has won multiple championships with the likes of Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, if you were to ask teammates of theirs that those guys were like, oh yeah, those are some of my favorite teammates, I loved playing them, I wanted them to stay on the team with me to win multiple championships, do you think any of those supporting players would describe being in a huddle in a losing game with any of them during a timeout would describe them as like, oh yeah, they were Kobe. I remember once I was in a huddle with him. We were losing in Game 6 of the finals, and he was just like, Kobe was like, hey guys, do better. That's all. I hope do better. No. These guys have big egos, obviously, right? I mean, and they kind of deserve it, right? They're the best athletes of our time, the most successful athletes of our time. And so it's like, it's not just ego, though. It's just they raise the stakes so high. They raise the stakes to the highest possible level. Guys like Kobe and Jordan and Tom Brady, every season, there's only one goal, which is to win a championship. So anything less than winning a championship to them is a failure, a failing season. It's not like, and not every athlete is wired like that, most of them actually are just like, especially if they're younger, but youth is one thing, but some of them, they're just not wired that way. They're like, oh, I just want to get a winning season. I want to make a little more money, maybe get into the playoffs, win a playoff game or two. And so they don't raise the stakes as high. So when you play with a superstar, someone who is trying to win as many championships as possible, they're going to foster a work environment that is it's not easy. Like, you're going to have people, they're going to be cursing guys out, chewing guys out, losing their temper all the time, just needing to vent, like getting really pissed off if things aren't going the way that they plan during a game. Again, if they're like losing in an important game and all that. And you have to imagine that the teammates that have won multiple championships with them, like Pau Gasol and Kobe, for instance, those guys, they get it. They get when Kobe's chewing them out during a timeout or something, their personal feelings, they can put their personal feelings aside because they understand the stakes at hand, the stakes being winning the highest possible achievement, which is a sports championship. I've heard about this. I've never worked in a kitchen, but I've heard the same thing about cooks that are working in like a 5-star high-end restaurant in the kitchen, right? They're on their feet like 12, 14 hours a day. It's super fast paced. They don't even have time to like take a bathroom break. It's just like total chaos and all that. And supposedly in that work environment, you can say like the meanest, lowest, most insulting thing to your coworkers there, making fun of their mother, all this stuff, all these sort of just really, really mean jokes. But the one thing that you are not allowed to call another cook is an asshole. That's the one thing that's forbidden. And it makes sense, right? Because if you're a cook and you call another cook an asshole, that means you're taking it personally, whatever the other cook was saying or kind of venting at you while you're working, right? It's like that's the one forbidden thing. So it's the same thing, you want to succeed in a high pressure environment. Yeah, you might get annoyed, you're going to get pissed off sometimes, not feel so good when a coworker is, getting in your face a little bit. But if you keep the stakes in mind, what you're pursuing along with your teammates, then that is how you can keep your cool, and that's how you can like keep a stoic mindset and keep calm in the middle of the storm. That's all I've got for today. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, and I'll come back soon enough with another video. Ciao.